The River Shannon is Ireland's longest river, and here, between the counties of Kerry and Clare, the Shannon drains out into the Atlantic Ocean and meets the incoming tides. For centuries, crossing between the two counties was perilous, with swift tides and currents. Now, as we'll find out later in the programme, several times each day, a ferry connects Clare and Kerry, making a huge difference to the lives of those who travel regularly. Across the river is County Clare. The village of Foynes in County Limerick is just behind me here, and about 20 kilometres down the road is Kerry. And these three counties are all linked by their connection with the river and the estuary, which was the major source of income and food for so many fishing families down through the generations. And in the last century, the Shannon estuary has been the driving force behind the economic development of this region. Nowhere is that more evident than in the development of Shannon Airport and the Port of Foynes. I'm here in Foynes to find out about the success of the port and its plans for the future. But first stop is the Flying Boat and Maritime Museum, which tells the story of how this area became such a significant player in the history of world aviation, and how, as a result, Shannon Airport came into being. Margaret O'Shaughnessy has been director of the museum for more than 30 years. Well now, Margaret, this is where you really get a sense of the Shannon estuary, isn't it?
It is, and the greatness of it and the length of it, and all the villages and towns around it that have all grown up because of the river. Because the river plays a huge part in the lives and the livelihoods of the communities on all sides, Kerry, Clare and Limerick. If you take the river as for passenger transport, you can go all the ways back to 1816. And the first paddle steamers started on the river.
So it was a transport hub always?
Always, Mary. I mean, you can even see that the Vikings used the great waterways of the Shannon to get up to Limerick and found the city there.
Now, I have come by the entrance to this museum so many times and always been impressed by the replica of the flying boat. First time in, and I'm really impressed. What is the story of the flying boat?
Well, it goes back to transport and the river again. So you have to come from the 1800s up to 1937. Lindbergh was sent off to Europe to discover a waterway that would be suitable for these new aircraft which were flying boats to land on. And he chose, thankfully, Foynes. So in 1939, first flights took off from the United States and arrived here with passengers 80 years ago this year.
So the flying boat really was instrumental in the start of Shannon Airport, wasn't it?
Well, funnily enough, this was known officially on all paper, everything, as the Shannon Airport Foynes. And with the Second World War, the development of the land planes was hastened. So by 1945, the flying boats were finishing, and we had the waterway, but we didn't have all the flat ground around us that could accommodate a new airport. So everything moved in October 45 from here across the river again, but it went to a place called Rhinanna. And it was Rhinanna Airport right up until the mid-50s when they took the name Shannon Airport. So this river has played a role in almost everything.
You're in very safe hands here, and they're not my hands. We are on Shannon 1. The skipper is Ray Doheny. Now, Ray, you've been doing this job for how long?
Oh, 35 years now, Mary.
And it's patrolling the estuary. How big is the estuary?
Oh, the estuary is about 60 miles long, I suppose.
Really? And what's the job that you're doing when you're here?
We maintain all the navigation buoys on the River Shannon, and plus we do all the surveying, the dredging, maintaining all the berths in the ports for all the shipping.
So the ships that come into the estuary, do they have a kind of a line that they have?
A channel, yeah. They follow the channel, and we have the channel marked buoys in certain places.
And you make sure that they're in
the right position.
Order.
Yeah, we maintain the whole lot of them, yeah.
When ships come in or go out of the estuary and the ports, I presume they have to have a pilot to get them out.
Oh yeah. There was one ship sailing from Money Point there one time, and the pilot about the weather was too bad, couldn't take the pilot off, and the pilot ended up on his holiday way to Canada. Yeah. Yeah.
That was some journey.
Yeah, a few years ago.
wasn't it?
Yeah, so that's he ended up in Canada. Yeah, so that's.
I presume you got a flight home.
Oh yeah, he had a bit of a holiday at first, let's say.
Or
Yeah,
maybe
that's it.
swam.
Yeah.
Back on terra firma now at Foynes Port, I'm meeting with the CEO of Shannon Foynes Port Company, Pat Keating. Pat, this is Foynes Port. Well, will you tell us about the natural advantage that the whole of the Shannon estuary has in terms of transport and shipping?
The critical piece for any seaport is deep water. What we have in the Shannon estuary is the deepest water course, sheltered water course in Ireland, if not in Europe. That's comparable to the Port of Rotterdam, where we can handle vessels here and currently do from 3,000 tonnes, which are roughly the smallest, right up to the very biggest that ply our oceans, so 200,000 tonne vessels, 300 metres long. But I think the scale and of what's happening in the world, the globalisation of the world, this is truly a global asset. And I suppose the challenge for us is to fully realise that. And we're at the start of that journey at the moment where, you know, we look at the efficiencies we've installed over the last number of years. For example, a 20,000 tonne vessel 10 years ago would probably take 10 days to discharge. Today, or unload, today it takes, 2 days.
Pat, the SFPC, the Shannon Foynes Port Company, has responsibility for the marine activities of the whole of the estuary. Tell us about the work that you do.
Yeah, so that's right. The Shannon Foynes Port Company is the port authority for the lower Shannon estuary, which stretches from Limerick right down to a line across from Loophead to Kerryhead. So it's 500 square kilometres of water. Currently there are 6 terminals operating within that water space, which we're responsible for. So essentially, we ensure that ships come and go safely to and from each one of those berths or jetties. So we're standing here at Foynes at the moment, which is our largest general cargo berth on the Shannon estuary. We have Limerick City, which is another general cargo berth. And then we have a private jetty at Ahnish, which is here behind us. And further downriver, we have Moneypoint Jetty and we have Tarbert Island jetties. And we also have an aviation jetty, fuels jetty at Shannon Airport, which, by the way, is one of the few airports in the world that receives its aviation fuels by ship rather than road tanker.
What's happening here behind us, Pat? It looks absolutely fascinating.
Yeah, so this is a vessel that arrived in this morning from Denmark with a payload of windmills. So what we see here is a tower element of a windmill structure being unloaded. This is a pretty regular occurrence these days, and I suppose this has been a very large part of our business in recent years. It's a new piece of the business. It's how the business is evolving and changing.
So what about the plans that you would have for the future, taking all of those things into consideration?
Yeah, well, I suppose looking at that, and where we're standing today, 2 years ago we would have been standing on water. So in order to facilitate that extra or decongest the likes of Dublin, we need this, what they call set-down space. So we're adding to that set-down space. This year, for example, we're about to kick off on a 28 million project, which will give us more set-down space. Also the creation of a 38-hectare business logistics park right beside the port here in Foynes. So in the near term, that project is happening this year. We have received planning just before December. Project is fully funded and contractors will be on site this August, September. So that 28 million project is happening.
So that's jobs, isn't
That's
it, as well?
real jobs.
Yeah.
Taking, I suppose, the estuary in its entirety into account, 3,648 jobs are created by the shipping activity, the port activity on the Shannon estuary.